JayMike
Joltter.
and today
we are taking a trip back in time with PUMA
down
and their
memory lane.
Yeah.
It is called the Super Atom, and I don't know. Super implies that something is very good. Atom is something that's very small. So apparently this is something that's very good and very. This is a remake of a football boot from 1952, Jolter. This is how a football boot, a revolutionary football boot, looked like in 1952, and it's apparently close to being the same tech spec-wise as we had back in the days. And I just gotta say, I have seen a lot of football boots in my life, but oh my God. Talk to me.
I mean, listen, if this is what the kids wanted back in 1952, this is what they got, you know? And let me just put it like this. This is the toe poke mastermind boot.
Yes. This is the boot that Ronaldo should have had in 2002 when he scored against Turkey in his vapors. He should have had these.
You know, the toe box is so high that, you know, if somebody can get under the ball with these football boots and shoot the ball more than 60 meters, I bow down.
They are heroes, yeah. The thing is that back in the day, the Super Atom was actually the first boot to have screw-in studs. I know that we always hear about how adidas made the first boot with screw-in studs, but in fact, it was PUMA, because there have been records. See, that's the funny thing, we're gonna get into that. There have been records of PUMA players wearing the Super Atom as far back as in 1952 in the German Bundesliga, or the first division back then. So basically, this was the Super Atom, the first boot to feature the innovative technology back then, something that today we take for granted, screw-in studs. But the funny thing is, Jolter, do the studs come off on this one?
Well, at least not with my finger technique.
Let's have a look. Would you assume that screw-in studs would have like nails in them? No.
Oh, those are nails.
I think.
Okay, yeah, maybe you can, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but okay. Because I thought those were like the holes where you plug in this thing and you use that to...
I'm pretty sure you didn't have that back then. But anyway, apart from the studs being screw-in, we can see that they seem like they're made of either some sort of rubber or even wood. I think they're made of some sort of wood. And that's a big thing by today's standards. Then we have, it is a leather rubber. I'm pretty sure it's not kangaroo leather. I gotta say, it feels more like, you know, the stiffest leather that you can possibly buy. But it is solid. Do you know how much it weighs?
I'm gonna give it a solid 350 grams.
It actually weighs more. It weighs 377 grams.
Pretty good guess.
It is a pretty good guess, and by today's
standards... I know my weights.
You know your weights, and by today's standards, 377 isn't that bad.
No, it's not like... But it's not like, whoa, like...
But the...
Of course you can feel... I think the sole plate is the heaviest part about the whole...
Probably, yes. And the toe box leather... It's ridiculous, but still, if you look at the Copa Mundial, it's also plus 300 grams. It's also not, it's also an old boot, but still, you know, from the 50s, 377, it's not too bad. And back then, this was the pinnacle of what you could get in terms of football boots, alongside the adidas boots, obviously. But we have, let's just look at the boot here. We have,
well, on the tech side of things, we have the anatomical sole plate with the heel split technology, 4 studs for great rotation on the pitch. We have the toe poke technology here. We have the dynamic fit collar. And that's all you gotta know.
That's all you gotta know.
And the thin 1 centimeter layer of leather.
And then we have laces. You think you can tie those? That's like... It is different, let's just put it that way. But this is apparently what high-top football boots looked like in the 50s. Let's just flash forward 60 years, 65 years, and have a look at the difference between the evoPOWER Vigor, which is the pinnacle of what PUMA can do today, and the pinnacle of what they could do in 1952. Let's have a look here. Okay, push the Vigor, press the toe box. Dude. Okay, it's very flexible, yeah?
Like you can reach all the way to the
yes.
the bottom of the, you know, the...
Now do the same thing on the Super Atom.
Seriously, this is so stiff that you can't move this. Not like you can, okay, here when the laces start coming in,
yes,
but like the actual toe box is like it's rock solid leather.
But mate, I know that you like your toe boxes to be roomy. Is this roomy enough for Jolter?
You know, this is one of those boots that wide-footed players, man, they didn't like this one bit. You know, because you can see that, you know, the shape is kind of narrow, actually, even on the entire sole plate, you know? It's very narrow. So imagine just sticking your fat foot in this, and it's not gonna move an inch.
Nope.
Not 1 inch. But the curious thing, right, is that how on earth are you gonna kick the ball with this guy? Like, it's so high. Like, how are you gonna get under the ball? Keep in mind that back in the days, they also played with leather footballs.
Which were hella heavy. When it rained, there was mud, there was everything. And I can't help but feel that, you know, these studs, they aren't that much longer than studs are today.
Yeah, exactly.
And I know that people today play with SG studs, but they played in worse conditions back then than we do today, even on SG pitches. And it's like, how was it possible? Even look at this, you know, the lacing system. You actually take the laces and you pull them back through this loop right here, and then pull it up the other round to really get the right proper fit around the heel, because there's not really anything like holding down the boot. There's no stability. It's just leather on top of leather on top of leather. But with that being said, Jolter, this is not a boot that's supposed to, you know, be worn on the pitch today. This is a collector's item.
Yes.
They make 100 pairs in total. So this is for the connoisseurs, the guys who know their boot history and for whom this represents a giant leap forward in terms of technology, because that is what the Super Atom is. I love the little details here. We have the PUMA Dazzler logo with the Puma jumping through the D. Pretty cool. But, you know, I think it's a nice little, you know, history object. But then comes the price. How much would you say that a boot from 1952 that was back then super innovative? We know that innovation is expensive. It costs a lot of money to innovate and develop. How much would you get it costs?
Like
to get one out of the 100 Super Atom remakes.
Okay. So now the price today in 2017.
No. How much does it cost to get this exact pair of Super Atom remakes at Unisport store?
I'm gonna say 250 euros.
It's gonna be a little bit more. It's gonna set you back, hold on to your hat, 400 euros.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
So that means that it is a nice, you know, should we say, heritage object to have. But that is a lot of cash. There are just 100 of them, I know, but still, it kind of sets new, you know, I get a feeling that it should be new boots that would break the 400 euro barrier, not a boot from 1952. But having said that, and I'm not a hater, I think it's actually a fun thing to have. And the box is cool, it's funny, it has all these old brandings on top of it, but it is, you know, it is for the people who know and who wants to pay that much money for basically a one-to-one remake. Almost.
That's a lot of money, man.
That is a lot of money, but that's how it is. And I gotta say, I'd rather pay what the evoPOWER Vigor costs compared to this. But let's just put it like this, 65 years of innovation. My God, how so much has happened since then. Now, today we just take everything for granted. We take lightweight boots for granted. This weighs around 200 grams. It's incredible. This is almost 400 grams, almost as much as it costs.
But if you really, like, seriously, when you look at these, it's still the same vibe. Like, you can still recognize that this is a football boot, mainly because of the studs.
Obviously.
If you didn't have the studs, you would just think that this is like some fancy dress shoe from 1950s or whatever. But like, we still have the same. It is a football boot, like, you know, it's not like all of a sudden they have like removed, they made a hole in the,
No.
you know, the toe box or anything like this.
And you know
I
what?
think this is how it's gonna be, you know?
Yes.
Yeah, you're gonna get some higher socks and lower socks. Maybe somebody's gonna make like a really low football boot. You never know. But like, we're still gonna continue in the same path.
Yes.
Because it's
And
a
this
football boot.
is a football boot. I would also be inclined to call it an army boot, but
Yes.
that's what it is. But I think, summing it up, I think it's a nice release from Puma, actually making a more or less one-to-one remake of a very old football boots. It's nice to of an old boot. It's nice to really. It smells like leather too.
It does.
And it's just nice to highlight their heritage, because it is an old brand that has a lot of history. So I think it's actually pretty funny. It's expensive, but it's pretty fun.
Yeah, if you have like a home museum of like, you know, boots from like old Predators and the first Mercurials, and you wanna, you know, spice it up with some real OG stuff.
Yes,
Then
that's
this
cool,
is
that
a good thing to have, you know, when your friends come and visit for a fancy dinner party, you can just show off your 1952 football boots, you know? Yeah, it's cool. Too much for me, you know, I don't buy boots just to look at them at home, so
I know.
I'm not gonna spend my money on this. And
But-
in all honesty, I don't even wanna put this on my feet.
No,
because
probably,
it's gonna be...
no one should put them on their feet, but they should put them on their shelf, because it is pretty cool. But guys, we're actually really excited to hear what you think about the 1952 PUMA Super Atom. That has been remade 100 pairs worldwide. You can get them if you're fast on Unisport store, but be fast, because there aren't a lot around. So what do you think of a boot, and how far have boots come since then? We really want to hear your thoughts on the whole development of innovation. Right down in the comment section below. Jolter, any last words?
Not really, I think everything has been said.
Yes, so just remember, subscribe, click the green button right up there. Reward us with a like if you had fun. I know I did. And always make sure you spread the word by sharing this video with your friends. With those words,
We are out.
Super Atom out.
We are super out.
Super out. Out. Super Atom out. Yeah. Yeah.